My name is Orabelle Josephine Tucker. I am 70 years old. I have lived a full life, a hard life, a life marked by love and loss, by sacrifice and survival. I raised 3 children alone after my husband passed away when I was only 38 years old. I worked as a seamstress during the day and cleaned offices at night. I went without so my children could have. I gave them everything I had. And I always thought they loved me for it. But on one terrible night, I learned the truth about my oldest son and his wife. A truth that shattered my heart into a million pieces. Let me tell you about that night. It was a Thursday evening in October. The leaves outside were turning gold and red. The air was crisp with the promise of autumn. I had been living with my son, Garrison, and his wife, Philomena, for 6 months. They had insisted I move in after I had a small health scare. A minor heart episode, the doctors called it. Nothing serious, but enough to worry my children. "Mama, you should not be living alone," Garrison had said. "Come stay with us. We have plenty of room. Philomena and I want to take care of you." I was touched. My son, my firstborn, wanted me close, wanted to look after me in my old age. What mother would not be grateful for such love? So I sold my little house. The house I had lived in for 40 years. The house where I had raised my children. The house that held all my memories. I sold it and moved in with Garrison and Philomena. That was my first mistake. The second mistake was trusting them with access to my finances. Garrison said it was for emergencies. He said he needed to be able to pay my medical bills if something happened. He said it was just a precaution. I believed him. He was my son. Why would I not believe him? But that Thursday night, I learned what my son and his wife really thought of me, what they really wanted. And they did not know I heard everything. It started around 9 o'clock in the evening. I had gone to bed early. My room was on the first floor, at the back of the house. Garrison and Philomena's bedroom was upstairs, but the house had an old heating system with vents that connected all the rooms. If you stood in certain spots, you could hear conversations from other parts of the house. I had discovered this by accident a few weeks earlier. I had heard Philomena complaining about the neighbor's dog. I thought nothing of it at the time. But that Thursday night, I heard something very different. I had gotten up to use the bathroom. As I passed the heating vent near my dresser, I heard voices. Garrison and Philomena. They were in the living room directly above me. I should have gone back to bed. I should have minded my own business. But something made me stop, something in their tone. They sounded excited, gleeful, like children planning a secret adventure. I pressed my ear to the vent and listened. "It is almost done," Philomena was saying. "Another few weeks and we will have everything." "Are you sure the paperwork is ready?" That was Garrison's voice. "Of course I am sure. I have been working on this for months. The power of attorney, the bank account transfers, the property deed changes, everything is in order." And she has no idea. Philomena laughed. It was a cold, cruel laugh that made my blood freeze. Of course she has no idea. She is a senile old woman who trusts her precious son. She signed everything I put in front of her without even reading it. I felt my heart stop. Senile old woman, signed everything without reading it. What were they talking about? "What about the other properties?" Garrison asked. "The rental houses?" "Already transferred to our names. The tenants are paying us now, not her. She does not even know." My rental houses. I owned 3 small rental properties. They had been my security, my retirement income. And now Philomena was saying they had been transferred without my knowledge. And the savings account. Cleaned out last week, $240,000, safe in our offshore account. $240,000, my entire life savings, gone. I felt dizzy. I had to grip the edge of my dresser to keep from falling. "What about when she finds out?" Garrison's voice sounded slightly nervous. "She will not find out, and even if she does, what can she do? She signed everything. Legally, it is all ours." "But what if she tells Rosalind or Monroe?" "Rosalind and Monroe, my other 2 children, my daughter and my younger son." "Let her tell them. By the time they figure out what happened, We will have moved all the assets somewhere they cannot touch. Besides, who are they going to believe? A confused old woman or her loving son who took her in when no one else would? Garrison laughed. You are brilliant, Philly, absolutely brilliant. I know, now let us celebrate. We are about to be very, very rich. I heard the clink of glasses. They were toasting their theft, toasting their betrayal. And then I heard something that broke me completely. Here is to Mama, Garrison said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. The foolish old woman who gave us everything. To Mama, Philomena echoed. May she die quickly so we do not have to pretend much longer. They laughed, both of them, laughing at me, laughing at the mother who had sacrificed everything for her son. I stood there in the darkness, my hand over my mouth, tears streaming down my face. My son wanted me dead. My son and his wife had stolen everything I owned, and they were laughing about it. Now, before I tell you what happened next, I need to ask you something. Are you with me? Are you ready to hear the rest of this story? If you are, I need you to do something for me right now. I need you to subscribe to this channel. Press that subscribe button. It is completely free and it tells me that you want more stories like this. Stories about real pain, real betrayal, real strength. Also, press the like button. That thumbs up helps more people find this channel. It helps me reach more mothers, more grandmothers, more people who have been hurt by the ones they love. And do not forget the notification bell. That little bell icon is so important. When you turn it on, you will get a message every time I post a new story. You will never miss anything. One more thing. Drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from. Are you from Detroit, Atlanta, New Orleans? Maybe you are watching from London or Lagos or Kingston or somewhere else around the world. I want to know who is here with me. I want to build a family of strong people who support each other. Now, let me take you back to the beginning. Let me tell you how I ended up in that house, listening to my son and his wife plan my destruction. I was born in a small town in Mississippi in 1954. My parents were poor but proud. My father worked at a sawmill. My mother took in laundry from wealthy families in town. We did not have much, but we had love. I was the youngest of 6 children, 4 boys and 2 girls. I learned early that life was hard and that you had to work for everything you got. When I was 19 years old, I met a man named Horace Tucker. He was tall and strong, with a smile that could light up a room. He worked at the same sawmill as my father. He was kind and gentle and everything I had ever dreamed of. We got married when I was 20. Within 5 years, we had 3 children. Garrison was born first, then Rosalind, then Monroe. Life was good, hard but good. Horace worked long hours and I worked too, sewing clothes for people in town and taking in mending. We saved every penny we could. When Garrison was 10 years old, we bought our first house. A small 2-bedroom place on Maple Street. It needed work, but it was ours. Our piece of the American dream. Over the next several years, we saved more. We bought rental properties, small houses that we fixed up and rented out. The income was not much, but it was steady. It was security. Then tragedy struck. Horace was killed in an accident at the sawmill. He was only 42 years old. I was 38. Our children were 18, 16, and 14. I thought my world had ended. I thought I would never recover from the grief. But I had 3 children who needed me. I had bills to pay. I had a life to maintain. So I pushed through. I worked harder than ever. I took on more sewing jobs. I started cleaning offices at night. I did whatever I had to do to keep my family afloat. And slowly, over the years, I rebuilt. I paid off the house. I kept the rental properties. I saved money. I built a life. My children grew up and moved out. Garrison got married to Philomena and became a mid-level manager at a manufacturing company. Rosalind became a teacher and married a good man named Jerome. Monroe became an electrician and stayed single. Focused on his career. I was proud of all of them. I thought I had raised good children. Children who would honor their father's memory. Children who would take care of their mother in her old age. I was wrong about one of them. The trouble started about 2 years ago. Garrison had always been ambitious. Even as a child, he wanted more. More toys, more attention, more everything. I thought it was just drive, determination, the same qualities that had helped me survive. But as he got older, I started to see something else. A coldness, a calculating nature. He always seemed to be thinking 3 steps ahead, figuring out how to get what he wanted. When he married Philomena, I hoped she would soften him. But instead, she made him worse. Philomena came from a family that valued money above everything else. Her parents were successful, wealthy people who measured worth in dollars and cents. Philomena had grown up believing that rich people were better than poor people. That success justified any means. From the moment I met her, I felt uneasy. She smiled at me with her mouth, but her eyes were always cold, calculating, like she was sizing me up, measuring my worth. But Garrison loved her, and I wanted my son to be happy. So I welcomed her into the family. I treated her like a daughter. I gave them money for their wedding. I helped them buy their first house. I was there for them whenever they needed me. And all the while, Philomena was planning, waiting, watching for her opportunity. The opportunity came 6 months ago. I had been feeling tired for weeks, weak, short of breath. I thought it was just old age catching up with me, but then one afternoon I collapsed in my kitchen. My neighbor found me and called an ambulance. I woke up in the hospital with doctors telling me I had experienced a cardiac episode. Not a heart attack, but a warning sign. I needed to take better care of myself. I needed to reduce stress. I needed help. Garrison and Philomena arrived at the hospital that same day. "Mama, this is serious," Garrison said, holding my hand. "You cannot live alone anymore. What if this happens again and no one is there to help you?" "I will be fine," I protested. "It was just a little episode." "It could have been worse," Philomena said. Her voice was sweet with concern. "We would never forgive ourselves if something happened to you. Please, Mama, come live with us. Let us take care of you." I looked at my son. He seemed so worried, so sincere. "What about Rosalind and Monroe?" I asked. "Maybe I could stay with one of them." "Rosalind has her hands full with the kids," Garrison said quickly. "And Monroe lives in that tiny apartment. He does not have room for you." "We have a guest room on the first floor," Philomena added. "It is perfect for you. No stairs to climb, a private bathroom. You will be comfortable and safe." I hesitated. Something felt wrong, but I could not put my finger on it. "I do not want to be a burden," I said. "Mama, you could never be a burden," Garrison said. "You are my mother. I love you. Let me take care of you." Those words, those sweet, lying words, they broke down my resistance. "All right," I said. "I will come live with you." Garrison smiled. Philomena smiled. But now, looking back, I realized those were not smiles of love. They were smiles of victory. The trap had been set, and I had walked right into it. The first few weeks at Garrison and Philomena's house were pleasant enough. They gave me a nice room. They cooked meals for me. They took me to my doctor's appointments. On the surface, everything seemed perfect. But underneath, things were happening that I did not see. Philomena started bringing me papers to sign. "Just some routine documents, Mama. Nothing to worry about." She would say it so casually, so sweetly, that I did not think twice. I trusted her. I trusted my son, so I signed whatever she put in front of me. Bank authorization forms, property transfer documents, power of attorney papers. I signed them all, never realizing what I was giving away. Garrison started asking about my finances. "Just so I can help manage things, Mama. You should not have to worry about bills and taxes at your age." I gave him access to my accounts. I showed him my investment statements. I told him about my rental properties. I thought I was being helped. I thought my son was taking care of me. I did not realize I was being robbed. And then came that Thursday night. The night I heard everything. The night I learned that my son and his wife had stolen my properties, drained my savings, and were laughing about it. The night I learned that they wanted me dead. I stood by that heating vent for what felt like hours, listening to them celebrate my destruction. Every laugh was a knife in my heart. Every word was a wound that would never heal. But somewhere, deep inside me, something else was happening. The shock was turning into anger. The grief was hardening into determination. The broken pieces of my heart were being forged into something new. Something dangerous. I was not going to let them get away with this. I was not going to die quietly so they could enjoy my money. I was going to fight back. But I had to be smart about it. I had to plan carefully. I could not let them know that I had heard everything. So I wiped my tears, I straightened my nightgown, and I went back to bed. Tomorrow, I would begin my counterattack. The next morning, I woke up before dawn. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, running through everything I had heard. My properties were gone. My savings were gone. My son and his wife had taken everything. But they had made one mistake. They thought I was a senile old woman. They thought I would never figure out what they had done. They thought they were smarter than me. They were wrong. I got up and went to the kitchen. Philomena was already there, making coffee. "Good morning, Mama," she said brightly. "Did you sleep well?" I looked at her face, the same face that had laughed about my death just hours ago, the same mouth that had called me a foolish old woman. "I slept fine," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "Thank you." "Garrison already left for work. He said to tell you he loves you." "Loves me, right." "That is sweet," I said. "Philomena, can I ask you something?" "Of course, Mama, anything." "Do you know where I put my address book? I want to call Rosalind today." A flicker of something crossed Philomena's face. Annoyance, fear, it was gone before I could identify it. "I think I saw it in the living room. I will get it for you." She left the kitchen. I heard her rummaging in the living room. And while she was gone, I did something I had never done before. I picked up her phone from the kitchen counter. It was unlocked, careless of her. I opened her email app and scrolled through her recent messages. What I found made my blood boil. Emails to lawyers about property transfers. Emails to banks about account changes. Emails to offshore financial institutions about wire transfers. All the evidence I needed. I quickly forwarded several emails to my own email address. Then I put the phone back exactly where I found it. Philomena returned with my address book. "Here you go, Mama." "Thank you, dear," I smiled at her. The same sweet, trusting smile I had always given her. But inside, I was not the same woman. Inside, I was planning her downfall. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. That morning, after Philomena handed me my address book, I sat at the kitchen table and pretended to drink my coffee. My mind was racing. I had evidence now, emails that proved what Garrison and Philomena had done, but I needed more. I needed to understand the full scope of their betrayal, and I needed allies. I could not do this alone. "Mama, are you feeling all right?" Philomena asked. She was watching me with those calculating eyes. "You seem distracted." "I am fine, dear, just thinking about old memories. You know how us old folks are, we live in the past." Philomena smiled. That condescending smile I had seen so many times but never truly understood until now. "Well, do not strain yourself. The doctor said you need to rest." "You are right. I think I will go lie down for a bit." I shuffled back to my room, playing the part of the weak, confused old woman they believed me to be. But the moment I closed my door, I moved quickly. I had a small laptop that Monroe had given me last Christmas. He had taught me how to use email and how to search the internet. At the time, I thought it was just a nice way to stay connected with family. Now, it would be my weapon. I opened my email and found the messages I had forwarded from Philomena's phone. There they were, proof of everything. I printed nothing. I saved everything. I made copies to a flash drive that I hid inside my pillowcase. Then I picked up my phone and called Rosalind. Rosalind answered on the second ring. "Mama, is everything okay?" "Everything is fine, baby. I just wanted to hear your voice. Are you sure? You sound different. My daughter knew me well. Even through the phone, she could sense that something was wrong. Rosalind, I need to see you. Can you come visit me today? Today, Mama, I have work and the kids have. It is important, baby. Very important, please. There was a pause on the other end of the line. All right, Mama. I will figure something out. I can be there around 2 o'clock. Is that okay? That is perfect. But Rosalind, do not tell Garrison or Philomena that you are coming. Just come straight to my room when you arrive. Another pause, longer this time. Mama, what is going on? I will explain everything when you get here. Just trust me. Okay, Mama, I trust you. I will see you at 2. I hung up and sat back on my bed. My heart was pounding, but it was not fear, it was anticipation. The fight was about to begin. At 1:45, I heard the front door open. Philomena was in the kitchen preparing lunch. She called out, "Who is there?" It is just me, Philomena, Rosalind. I heard Philomena's footsteps approaching the front door. Rosalind, what a surprise. Garrison did not mention you were coming. It was last minute. I just wanted to check on Mama. How thoughtful. She is in her room. I think she was resting. I will just pop in and say hello. I heard Rosalind's footsteps approaching my door. A soft knock. Mama, it is me. Come in, baby. Rosalind entered and closed the door behind her. She was a beautiful woman, my daughter. 52 years old, but she still had the bright eyes and warm smile of the little girl who used to climb into my lap and beg for stories. Mama, what is going on? You sounded so strange on the phone. I patted the bed beside me. Sit down, baby. I have something to tell you, something terrible. Rosalind sat. Her face was filled with concern. Are you sick? Did the doctors find something? No, baby, it is not that, it is worse. I took a deep breath, and then I told her everything. I told her about the conversation I had overheard, about Garrison and Philomena laughing as they discussed stealing my money, about the properties they had transferred, about the savings they had drained, about them wishing I would die quickly. As I spoke, Rosalind's face changed. Confusion turned to shock. Shock turned to horror. Horror turned to rage. Those monsters, she whispered when I finished. Those absolute monsters. I have proof, Rosalind. I forwarded emails from Philomena's phone. Emails that show everything they did. I handed her the flash drive. This has copies of all the evidence. Bank transfers, property documents, everything. Rosalind took the flash drive with trembling hands. Mama, we need to go to the police. This is theft, elder abuse. They could go to prison for this. I know, but we need to be careful. If Garrison and Philomena find out that I know, they might try to destroy the evidence. They might try to hurt me. Hurt you? Rosalind's eyes flashed with fury. If they lay one finger on you, I will. Calm down, baby. We need to be smart about this. We need a plan. Rosalind took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. You are right, okay. What do we do? First, I need to get out of this house. I cannot stay here with them. It is not safe. You can come live with me and Jerome. We have room. The kids would love having their grandma around. Thank you, baby, but we cannot just leave. If I disappear suddenly, Garrison and Philomena will know something is wrong. They might run. They might take the money and disappear before we can stop them. So what do we do? I thought for a moment. We need to gather more evidence. We need to document everything they have stolen. And we need to find a lawyer. Someone who specializes in elder abuse cases. I know someone, Rosalind said. Jerome's cousin Waverly, she is a lawyer. She handles cases like this all the time. Good, call her, set up a meeting, but do it quietly. Do not let anyone know what we are planning. Rosalind nodded. What about Monroe? Should we tell him? I hesitated. Monroe was my youngest. He had always been quieter than his siblings, more reserved, but he was also fiercely loyal. Yes, call Monroe. Tell him to meet us at your house tomorrow afternoon. We will explain everything then. What about until then? Are you safe here? I looked at the door. Behind it, Philomena was going about her day, believing her scheme was still secret. I will be fine. They do not know that I know. As long as I keep playing the weak old woman, they will not suspect anything. I do not like leaving you here. I have survived worse, baby. I can survive one more night. Rosalind hugged me tight. I love you, Mama. I love you too, baby. Now go, and be careful. After Rosalind left, I sat alone in my room, thinking. My children had always been different. Garrison was the ambitious one, always reaching for more. Rosalind was the nurturing one, always taking care of others. Monroe was the quiet one, always watching, always thinking. When had Garrison changed? When had the ambition turned into greed? When had my son become someone capable of stealing from his own mother? I thought back over the years, searching for signs I might have missed. There was the time when Garrison was 18 and took money from my purse without asking. I had confronted him about it, and he had apologized, said he needed it for something important. I had believed him. I had forgiven him. There was the time when he was in his 20s and borrowed $5,000 for a business venture that never materialized. He said he would pay it back. He never did. There was the time when he was in his 30s and asked me to co-sign a loan. I did, trusting him. He defaulted. I had to pay off the debt. Small things, little warning signs, but I had ignored them all because he was my son, because I loved him, because I wanted to believe he was a good person. Now I saw the truth. Garrison had always been a taker. He had always seen other people as resources to be exploited. I was just another victim, another mark. And Philomena had encouraged him, fed his worst instincts, turned him into a monster. Or maybe the monster had always been there, and she had just helped set it free. That evening, dinner was tense. I sat at the table with Garrison and Philomena, eating the meal she had prepared. Pot roast with vegetables, one of my old recipes that I had taught her years ago. This is delicious, Philomena, I said, forcing a smile. Thank you, Mama. I know how much you love pot roast. You take such good care of me. Garrison reached over and patted my hand. That is what family is for, Mama. We take care of each other. I looked at my son, the face I had loved since the moment he was born, the face that now belonged to a stranger. You are a good son, Garrison. He smiled, that charming smile that had always gotten him whatever he wanted. I try, Mama, I try. After dinner, I excused myself to go to bed early. I claimed I was tired from Rosalind's visit. She just wore you out with all that chatting, Philomena said with a laugh. You know how Rosalind can talk. Yes, she certainly can. I shuffled to my room and closed the door. And then I pressed my ear to the heating vent. I did not have to wait long. About an hour after I went to my room, I heard Garrison and Philomena's voices drifting through the vent. Do you think Rosalind suspects anything? Philomena was asking. No, why would she? She just came to visit Mama, that is all. I do not like it. She has never visited without calling first. It seems suspicious. You are being paranoid, Philly. Rosalind is not smart enough to figure out what we are doing. She is just a simple schoolteacher. Philomena laughed. You are right, I am being silly. But still, we should speed things up. The longer we wait, the more chance someone will discover what we have done. What do you suggest? I have been thinking about the insurance policy. My blood ran cold. Insurance policy. What about it? Your mother has a life insurance policy. $250,000. You are the sole beneficiary. I know, so what? So, the sooner she dies, the sooner we collect. There was a long pause. Philly, what are you saying? I am saying that your mother is old. She has a heart condition. If something were to happen to her, no one would be surprised. Are you suggesting we kill my mother? I am suggesting that we help nature take its course. A little extra stress. Maybe we skip a few of her heart medications. Nothing obvious. Nothing that could be traced back to us. I covered my mouth to keep from screaming. They were planning to kill me. My own son and his wife were planning to murder me for insurance money. I do not know, Philly, that seems extreme. Extreme, we have already stolen everything she owns. What is one more step? Besides, you heard what she said at dinner. She thinks you are a good son. She trusts you completely. She will never see it coming. Another pause. I held my breath, waiting for Garrison's response. Let me think about it. Do not think too long. The sooner we act, the sooner we are free. I heard footsteps. They were leaving the living room. I stumbled away from the vent, my whole body shaking. My son was considering killing me. My own child was weighing whether or not to end my life. I had thought the betrayal could not get worse. I was wrong. I did not sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I had to get out of this house. I had to get away from these people. But I could not leave in the middle of the night. That would raise suspicions. It might push them to act sooner. I had to wait. I had to be patient. I had to survive until tomorrow when I could escape to Rosalind's house. But what if they acted tonight? What if they decided not to wait? I got up and quietly wedged a chair under my door handle. It would not stop them if they really wanted to get in, but it would slow them down. It would give me time to call for help. Then I sat on my bed with my phone in my hand, watching the door. Every creak of the house made me jump. Every shadow made me flinch. I was a prisoner in my own son's home, waiting to see if he would decide to kill me. The hours crawled by. Midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Finally, around 3 in the morning, exhaustion overtook fear. I drifted into a fitful sleep, my phone still clutched in my hand. I woke to the sound of birds singing outside my window. Sunlight was streaming through the curtains. I was still alive. I had made it through the night. I checked my phone. It was 7:30 in the morning. Rosalind had texted me an hour ago. Mama, everything is set. Jerome is picking you up at 11. We will say you have a doctor's appointment. Pack a bag. We are getting you out of there. Waverly, the lawyer, will meet us at my house at 2. I let out a breath of relief. In a few hours, I would be safe. I quickly packed a small bag, just the essentials, clothes, medications, the flash drive with all the evidence, a few precious photographs that I could not leave behind. Everything else, all my belongings, I would have to leave. But they were just things. Things could be replaced. My life could not. At 9 o'clock, I emerged from my room and went to the kitchen. Philomena was there, as usual, making breakfast. Good morning, Mama. You slept late today. I was tired. Old bones need more rest these days. Of course they do. She set a plate in front of me, scrambled eggs and toast. Eat up. You need to keep your strength. I looked at the food. Was it safe? Had she put something in it? I forced myself to take a small bite. If I refused to eat, she would know something was wrong. Delicious, I said. Thank you, Mama. Garrison appeared in the doorway, dressed for work. Morning, Mama. How are you feeling? Good, son, good. He kissed the top of my head. I will be home late tonight. Big meeting at work. Good luck, baby. He smiled and left. I watched him go, this stranger who wore my son's face, this man who was considering murdering me. At 10:45, the doorbell rang. Philomena went to answer it. I heard her voice, surprised but polite. Jerome, what a surprise. Is Rosalind with you? No, she is at work. I am just here to pick up Mama. She has a doctor's appointment at 11:30. A doctor's appointment. She did not mention anything to me. It was scheduled weeks ago. I think she forgot to tell you. You know how forgetful she can be. Philomena paused. I could imagine her calculating, wondering if something was wrong. Well, all right, let me get her. She came to my room. Mama, Jerome is here. He says you have a doctor's appointment. Oh, yes. I acted flustered, confused. I completely forgot to tell you. It is just a routine checkup, nothing serious. Do you want me to come with you? No. Jerome can handle it. You have enough to do around here. Philomena looked at me for a long moment. I kept my face innocent and vacant. All right, call me if you need anything. I will, dear, thank you. I grabbed my pre-packed bag and walked to the front door where Jerome was waiting. He was a tall, solid man with kind eyes. I had always liked him. Ready, Mama. Ready. We walked to his car. I did not look back at the house. I did not want Philomena to see my face, to see the relief, the rage, the determination. Jerome opened the car door for me. I got in. He closed it and walked around to the driver's side. As we pulled away from the curb, I finally let out the breath I had been holding. Thank you, Jerome. You are safe now, Mama. We are going to take care of everything. I looked out the window as Garrison's house disappeared behind us. I know you are, baby. I know you are. But even as I said the words, I knew the fight was far from over. Because last night, I had heard something else through that heating vent, something I had not told Rosalind, something that changed everything. Philomena had mentioned a partner, someone else who was helping them, someone inside the family. And I had a terrible feeling. I knew exactly who it was. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Jerome drove carefully through the city streets, checking his mirrors every few minutes. Are you okay, Mama? He asked. I am fine, Jerome, just tired. But I was not fine. My mind was spinning with what I had heard through the heating vent. That one phrase Philomena had said kept echoing in my head. Our partner on the inside will make sure no one asks too many questions. Partner on the inside, someone in the family, someone helping Garrison and Philomena steal from me. I had 3 children. Garrison was obviously the villain. Rosalind was helping me escape. That left only one possibility. Monroe. My youngest son, my quiet, watchful boy, could he really be part of this? I did not want to believe it, but I had not wanted to believe Garrison could steal from me either. I had not wanted to believe he could laugh about my death. I had not wanted to believe he could consider murdering me. I had been wrong about so many things. I could not afford to be wrong again. We arrived at Rosalind's house around noon. It was a modest but comfortable home in a quiet neighborhood. 2 stories, white siding, a wraparound porch with rocking chairs, the kind of home I had always dreamed of having. Rosalind was waiting at the door. She rushed out as soon as Jerome parked the car. Mama, she pulled me into a tight hug. Thank God you are safe. I am fine, baby. I am fine. She helped me out of the car and into the house. The inside was warm and welcoming. Family photos on the walls, the smell of fresh coffee, the sound of children playing somewhere upstairs. The kids are excited to see you, Rosalind said. But I told them to give you some space for now. You have been through a lot. Thank you, baby. She led me to a comfortable chair in the living room. The lawyer, Waverly, will be here in about an hour. Until then, you should rest. I cannot rest, Rosalind. There is something I need to tell you. Rosalind sat down across from me, her face serious. What is it, Mama? I hesitated. How do you tell a daughter that one of her brothers might be a traitor? How do you accuse a child of betraying their own mother? Last night, I heard more through the heating vent, more than I told you yesterday. What did you hear? I took a deep breath. Philomena mentioned a partner, someone inside the family who was helping them, someone who would make sure no one asked too many questions. Rosalind's face went pale. Inside the family, but that means... Monroe, I said quietly. It has to be Monroe. Rosalind shook her head. No, Mama. Monroe would never do that. He loves you. Garrison was supposed to love me too. The words hung in the air between us. Heavy, painful, true. I do not want to believe it either, I continued. But we have to consider the possibility. We have to be careful about what we tell Monroe until we know for sure. Rosalind was silent for a long moment. I could see her struggling with this new information, wrestling with the possibility that another brother had betrayed us. How do we find out? She finally asked. We watch, we listen, and we do not let Monroe know that we suspect anything. He is supposed to be here this afternoon. I invited him to meet with the lawyer. I nodded. Good, let him come. But do not tell him everything. Not until we know where his loyalties lie. Monroe arrived at 1:30. He was a handsome man, my youngest. 50 years old, but he looked younger. He had his father's eyes and my mother's strong jaw. He had always been the quietest of my children, the most reserved, the hardest to read. Mama, he hugged me carefully, like he was afraid I might break. Are you okay? Rosalind told me what happened. I am fine, baby, shaken but fine. I cannot believe Garrison would do something like this. He is our brother. I studied Monroe's face, looking for any sign of deception, any hint that he knew more than he was letting on, but his expression seemed genuine, shocked, angry. Was I wrong? Was Monroe innocent after all? Come sit down, Rosalind said. The lawyer will be here soon. We gathered in the living room. Jerome brought coffee. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. What exactly did Garrison and Philomena take? Monroe asked. I told him, the rental properties, the savings account, the $240,000 that had vanished into an offshore account. Monroe's face grew darker with each revelation. Those snakes, he muttered. I always knew Philomena was no good. I tried to warn Garrison years ago, but he would not listen. You tried to warn him? I asked. Yes, when they first got engaged. I told him Philomena was only interested in his potential, his earning power. He said I was jealous because I could not find a woman like her. Monroe laughed bitterly. I guess I dodged a bullet. Rosalind and I exchanged a glance. Monroe's story was believable. His anger seemed real, but I had been fooled before. The doorbell rang. Jerome went to answer it. That must be Waverly, Rosalind said. Waverly, Lawson Baptiste, was not what I expected. She was a young woman, maybe early 30s, with natural hair styled in neat locks and sharp, intelligent eyes behind wire-framed glasses. She wore a simple navy suit and carried a leather briefcase that looked like it had seen many battles. Mrs. Tucker, she shook my hand firmly. I am Waverly. Jerome's cousin told me about your situation. I want to help. Thank you for coming. We all sat down, and Waverly pulled out a legal pad. Tell me everything, she said. From the beginning, do not leave out any details, no matter how small. I told her the whole story. The health scare, moving in with Garrison and Philomena, the papers I signed without reading, the conversation I overheard, the emails I forwarded from Philomena's phone, the discussion about killing me for insurance money. Waverly took notes throughout, her face growing more serious with each revelation. When I finished, she set down her pen. Mrs. Tucker, what you have described is a textbook case of elder financial abuse. Your son and daughter-in-law systematically gained your trust, isolated you from your other family members, and then stole your assets through fraud and manipulation. Can we get my money back? Possibly. It depends on how well they covered their tracks. The fact that you have copies of their emails is extremely helpful. That is direct evidence of their intent and their methods. What about the properties? Property transfers can be challenged, especially if we can prove you did not understand what you were signing. Courts take a dim view of people who trick elderly relatives into signing away their homes. Waverly leaned forward. But I have to be honest with you, Mrs. Tucker. This is going to be a fight. Your son has had months to move assets and destroy evidence. Recovering everything may not be possible. I do not care about everything, I said. I care about justice. I want Garrison and Philomena to face consequences for what they did. Waverly nodded. Then we need to go to the police. What they did is not just civil fraud. It is criminal, theft, elder abuse, and if they were seriously considering harming you, that could be conspiracy to commit murder. Murder? Monroe stood up abruptly. Did you say murder? Rosalind put a hand on his arm. Sit down, Monroe. There is more Mama did not tell you. I told Monroe about the conversation I had overheard, the life insurance policy, Philomena's suggestion to skip my medications, to help nature take its course. Monroe's face went white. They were going to kill you. Our own brother was going to let his wife kill our mother. He said he would think about it, I said quietly. I do not know if he would have gone through with it. It does not matter. Monroe was shaking with rage. The fact that he even considered it, that he did not immediately reject the idea, that monster, that absolute monster. He started packing the room. We need to call the police right now. We need to have them arrested. They cannot get away with this. Monroe, calm down, Rosalind said. We need to be strategic about this. Strategic? They tried to kill our mother. I know, but if we rush in without a plan, they could escape. They could destroy evidence. They could disappear with all of Mama's money. Monroe stopped packing. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm down. You are right. I am sorry. I cannot believe this is happening. I watched my son carefully. His reaction seemed genuine. His anger seemed real, but I still could not shake the suspicion that had been planted in my mind. Partner on the inside, someone in the family. If it was not Monroe, then who? Waverly spent the next hour going through the evidence I had collected. She reviewed the emails from Philomena's phone. She looked at the flash drive with the copied documents. She asked detailed questions about every paper I had signed while living with Garrison and Philomena. When she finished, she looked up with a grim expression. Mrs. Tucker, I need to tell you something. What is it? Some of these documents, they are not just property transfers and bank authorizations. What do you mean? Waverly pulled out one of the papers. This document gives Garrison full power of attorney over all your affairs, medical decisions, financial decisions, everything. If this is valid, he legally has the right to make decisions on your behalf, including decisions about your medical care. My blood ran cold. I did not know what I was signing. Philomena told me it was routine paperwork. I understand, and that is exactly what we will argue in court. But until we can get this document invalidated, Garrison technically has a lot of power over your life. What kind of power? Waverly hesitated. The kind of power that could let him admit you to a nursing home against your will. The kind of power that could let him access your medical records. The kind of power that could let him make decisions about your healthcare treatment. Rosalind gasped. He could force Mama into a nursing home. In theory, yes, if he convinces a doctor that she is not competent to make her own decisions. But she is perfectly competent, Monroe exclaimed. Anyone can see that. We know that, but Garrison could claim otherwise. He could say she is confused, disoriented, suffering from dementia, if he finds a doctor willing to go along with it. Waverly did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. We have to move fast, she said. We need to file an emergency petition to have the power of attorney revoked. We need to get a protective order against Garrison and Philomena, and we need to go to the police with all of this evidence. How long will that take? I asked. The emergency petition could be heard as early as Monday. The police report we can file today. What do we do in the meantime? Waverly looked at me seriously. You stay here. You do not go anywhere alone. You do not answer calls from Garrison or Philomena, and you do not let anyone know where you are. Like hiding. Like protecting yourself. Your son has already proven he is willing to steal from you. He has already considered killing you. We cannot underestimate what he might do when he realizes you have escaped. At 5 o'clock that evening, my phone rang. I looked at the screen. Garrison. Everyone in the room went silent. Do not answer it, Waverly said. I let it ring until it went to voicemail. A moment later, a text message appeared. Mama, where are you? Philomena said you went to a doctor's appointment, but you never came back. We are worried. Please call me. Another message followed. Mama, this is not funny. Where are you? And then another. If you do not call me in the next hour, I am going to call the police and report you missing. Monroe snorted. The nerve of him, pretending to be worried. He is not worried about Mama, Rosalind said. He is worried about his plan falling apart. My phone rang again. This time it was Philomena. I did not answer. More text messages came flooding in. Mama, please call us. We are so worried. Is something wrong? Did we do something to upset you? Please just let us know you are safe. I stared at the messages. The lies, the fake concern, it made me sick. Can I respond? I asked Waverly, just to tell them I am fine. I would advise against it. Any communication with them could be used against us later. Let them wonder. Let them worry. I put my phone down. It kept buzzing with messages, but I ignored them. Let Garrison and Philomena sweat. Let them wonder what had gone wrong. Let them feel a fraction of the fear and uncertainty they had made me feel. At 8 o'clock, there was a knock at the front door. Jerome went to answer it. He came back a moment later, his face grim. It is the police, he said. They want to talk to Mrs. Tucker. My heart dropped. Had Garrison actually reported me missing? 2 officers stood in the doorway. One was a tall woman with short gray hair. The other was a younger man with a serious expression. Are you Oribel Tucker? The woman asked. Yes. Ma'am, your son filed a missing persons report. He said you left for a doctor's appointment this morning and never returned. He is very concerned about your welfare. I almost laughed at the absurdity of it. My son, concerned about my welfare. The same son who had considered letting his wife murder me. Waverly stepped forward. Officers, I am Waverly Lawson Baptiste. I am Mrs. Tucker's attorney. My client is not missing. She is here voluntarily, staying with her daughter. Then, why did she not tell her son where she was going? Because her son has been financially abusing her. We have evidence that he stole over $200,000 from her accounts, fraudulently transferred her properties into his name, and discussed with his wife the possibility of hastening her death for insurance money. The officers exchanged glances. That is a serious accusation, the woman said. We have evidence, emails, documents, witness testimony. We were planning to come to the station tomorrow morning to file a formal report. The male officer pulled out a notepad. Would you be willing to make a statement tonight? I looked at Waverly. She nodded. Yes, I said. I will tell you everything. The next 2 hours were exhausting. I sat at Rosalind's kitchen table and told the officers everything. The whole terrible story, the papers I signed, the conversations I overheard, the threats against my life. Waverly sat beside me, occasionally interjecting with legal context. Rosalind and Jerome stayed close, offering silent support. Monroe paced in the background, his face tight with anger. When I finished, the female officer, whose name was Detective Esperanza Molina, closed her notepad. Mrs. Tucker, based on what you have told us, we have grounds to open an investigation into your son and daughter-in-law for elder financial abuse, fraud, and potentially conspiracy to commit murder. What happens next? We will need to verify the evidence you have provided. If everything checks out, we will seek warrants to access their financial records and potentially make arrests. How long will that take? It depends on what we find, but I promise you, we take cases like this very seriously. Elder abuse is one of the fastest-growing crimes in this country. We will not let your son get away with this. After the officers left, I sat in the quiet living room, feeling drained. You did good, Mama, Rosalind said, sitting beside me. The hardest part is over. Is it? I asked. I feel like the hardest part is still coming. What do you mean? I looked at my daughter, my loyal, loving daughter. There is still the matter of the inside partner, someone in the family who is helping Garrison and Philomena, someone we have not identified yet. Rosalind frowned. You still think it is Monroe? I do not know what to think. His reactions seem genuine, but I have been fooled before. Then how do we find out the truth? I thought for a moment. We set a trap. The trap was simple. The next morning, I called a family meeting. Rosalind, Jerome, Monroe, and myself. I told them I had made a decision. I want to give each of my children something, I said. Something to protect, a part of my legacy. Mama, you do not have to do that now, Rosalind protested. Yes, I do. I have learned that tomorrow is not promised. I want to make sure the people I love have something to remember me by. I turned to Monroe. Monroe, I want to give you something special. The deed to my mother's old house back in Mississippi. It is not worth much, but it has been in our family for generations. I was saving it for... Well, I was saving it. But now I want you to have it. Monroe looked surprised. Mama, are you sure? That house means so much to you. That is why I want you to have it. You have always been the one who cared most about family history. Promise me you will take care of it. I promise, Mama, I promise. I handed him a folder. This is not the real deed. That is with my lawyer. But this is a letter stating my intention to transfer the property to you. Keep it safe. Monroe took the folder with reverence. Thank you, Mama. I will treasure it. I smiled at him, but inside I was watching, waiting, testing. Because the letter I gave Monroe was not just a letter of intention. It was bait. I had told only Monroe about the Mississippi property. If Garrison suddenly knew about it, I would know Monroe was the traitor. Now all I had to do was wait. I did not have to wait long. That evening, my phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. I know about the Mississippi house. If you want to keep it in the family, you will drop this investigation. Otherwise, I will make sure you lose everything, even your precious children. I stared at the message, my heart pounding. Someone knew about the Mississippi house. Someone who should not have known. Someone who could only have found out from Monroe. I showed the message to Rosalind. It is Monroe, she whispered, her face crumpling with betrayal. It was Monroe all along. But something did not feel right. The message was threatening, yes, but it was also desperate, panicked. Not the tone of someone who had been confidently working with Garrison for months. And there was something else, something that nagged at me. I called Monroe. Did you tell anyone about the Mississippi house? I asked without preamble. What? No, Mama, of course not. No one at all, not even casually mentioned it to someone. There was a pause. Well, I told Denise, but she is my girlfriend, she would not. Denise, I interrupted. Who is Denise? You never mentioned a girlfriend. Another pause, longer this time. We have been together for about 6 months. I was going to introduce you, but then all this happened with Garrison. Monroe, what is Denise's last name? Foster, Denise Foster. Why? Mama, what is going on? My blood turned to ice. Denise Foster. I knew that name. I had heard it before. In one of the emails, I forwarded from Philomena's phone. An email from someone named D. Foster. An email discussing the plan to take my money. Monroe, I said slowly, I need you to come to Rosalind's house right now, and do not tell Denise where you are going. Mama, you are scaring me. What is happening? Just come. I will explain everything when you get here. I hung up and turned to Rosalind. It is not Monroe, I said. It is his girlfriend, Denise Foster. She is the inside partner. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Chapter 4. Monroe arrived at Rosalind's house within the hour. He looked confused, worried, and slightly out of breath. He had clearly rushed over as fast as he could. Mama, what is going on? You sounded terrified on the phone. I sat him down in the living room. Rosalind, Jerome, and Waverly were all there. The atmosphere was tense, heavy with the weight of what we were about to reveal. Monroe, I need to ask you some questions about Denise, and I need you to answer honestly. Of course, what do you want to know? How did you meet her? Monroe frowned, confused by the question. We met at a coffee shop about 6 months ago. She was sitting at the table next to mine, reading a book I liked. We started talking and, well, one thing led to another. 6 months ago, I repeated. That was right around the time I had my heart episode, right around the time I moved in with Garrison. I guess so. Why does that matter? Did Denise know about my situation? Did you tell her about Garrison and Philomena taking me in? Yes, we talked about it. She was very supportive. She said it was wonderful that my brother was taking care of our mother. I felt sick. It was all making sense now. The timing, the manipulation, the way Denise had inserted herself into Monroe's life at exactly the right moment. Monroe, I need to show you something. I handed him my phone with the threatening text message on the screen. I received this tonight. Someone knows about the Mississippi house. The house I told only you about just this morning. Monroe read the message. His face went pale. But I only told Denise. I called her right after you gave me the folder. I was excited. I wanted to share the news. I know, baby. That is why I called you. You think Denise sent this? Monroe shook his head in disbelief. No, that is impossible. She loves me. She would never. Monroe, Waverly spoke gently but firmly. I reviewed the emails Mrs. Tucker forwarded from Philomena's phone. One of them was from someone with the initial D. Foster. The email discussed the plan to steal your mother's money. It mentioned having someone on the inside to report on the family. Monroe stared at her. D. Foster, Denise Foster. Yes. No, Monroe stood up abruptly. No, this has to be a mistake. There must be another explanation. Is there? I asked quietly. Think about it, Monroe. Think about how you met Denise, how convenient it was, how quickly she became part of your life, how interested she was in your family, your mother, your brothers. Monroe was packing now, running his hands through his hair. She asked a lot of questions, he admitted slowly. About the family, about our finances, about you, Mama. I thought she was just interested, just trying to get to know me better. She was gathering information, Rosalind said. She was reporting back to Garrison and Philomena. But why? What does she get out of it? Waverly pulled out her notepad. I did some research after Mrs. Tucker told me the name. Denise Foster is Philomena's cousin. Second cousin, to be precise. They grew up together. They are very close. Monroe stopped packing. His face crumpled. Her cousin. Denise is Philomena's cousin. Yes, it appears this entire scheme was a family operation. Garrison and Philomena orchestrated the theft. Denise was planted in your life to monitor the family and report back any potential threats. Monroe sank into a chair, his head in his hands. I am such a fool. I trusted her. I thought she loved me. I went to my son and put my arms around him. You are not a fool, baby. You are a good man who wanted to believe in love. They took advantage of that. They manipulated you just like they manipulated me. Monroe looked up at me with tears in his eyes. I am so sorry, Mama, if I had known, if I had even suspected. It is not your fault. None of this is your fault. I held my youngest son while he cried. My heart ached for him. He had been betrayed too, used, manipulated, just another victim in Garrison and Philomena's cruel game. The next morning, Detective Molina came to Rosalind's house. She had news. We executed search warrants on Garrison Blanchard's home and business last night, she said. We found extensive evidence of financial fraud, bank records, property transfer documents, communications between Mr. Blanchard, his wife, and several accomplices. Accomplices? Waverly asked. Yes, including a woman named Denise Foster. She was arrested this morning at her apartment. Monroe flinched at the name, but said nothing. What about Garrison and Philomena? I asked. Mr. Blanchard was arrested at his workplace yesterday evening. Mrs. Blanchard was arrested at their home. Both are currently in custody. Relief washed over me. They were caught. They could not hurt me anymore. What charges are they facing? Detective Molina consulted her notes. Multiple counts of elder financial abuse, fraud, theft, forgery, money laundering, and for Mrs. Blanchard specifically, conspiracy to commit murder based on the conversation you overheard about the insurance policy. What about Garrison? He was part of that conversation too. Mr. Blanchard claims he never agreed to the plan. He says he told his wife he would think about it, but never intended to go through with it. I snorted. Of course he says that. We will let the prosecutor sort that out. But at minimum, he is looking at decades in prison for the financial crimes alone. Decades? My son was going to spend decades in prison. I should have felt satisfied, vindicated, but instead I just felt empty, hollow. This was my child, the baby I had held in my arms, the boy I had raised with love. And now, he was a criminal facing the rest of his life behind bars. The legal process moved quickly. Waverly filed emergency petitions to have all the fraudulent documents invalidated. The power of attorney was revoked. The property transfers were reversed. My rental houses were returned to my name. The offshore account was more complicated. The money had been moved through several international banks, making it difficult to trace. But the FBI got involved, and slowly, piece by piece, they began to recover my stolen savings. Within 2 months, I had recovered almost everything. Not quite the full $240,000, but close. Enough. More importantly, I had recovered my dignity, my independence, my sense of self. I was not a victim anymore. I was a survivor. The trial began 4 months after the arrests. It was held in a large courtroom downtown. Media was present. The case had attracted attention because of the extent of the fraud and the shocking nature of the family betrayal. I attended every day. I sat in the front row, watching as the prosecutor laid out the evidence against my son, his wife, and her cousin. The emails were read aloud. The documents were displayed on screens. Witnesses testified about how they had been manipulated and deceived. And through it all, Garrison sat at the defense table, refusing to look at me. Philomena, on the other hand, stared at me constantly. Her eyes were filled with hatred, contempt. She blamed me for her downfall. She blamed me for ruining her perfect plan. I stared right back. I did not flinch. I did not look away. You tried to destroy me, I thought, but I am still here, and you are the one facing justice. On the 5th day of the trial, I was called to testify. I walked to the witness stand with my head held high. My legs were steady. My voice was clear. The prosecutor led me through my testimony. I told the jury everything: the move to Garrison's house, the papers I signed without understanding, the conversation I overheard through the heating vent, the laughter, the cruel words, the plan to hasten my death. When I described hearing my son toast to my death, several members of the jury looked physically ill. Can you tell the court exactly what you heard, Mrs. Tucker? The prosecutor asked. I heard my daughter-in-law say that if something were to happen to me, no one would be surprised. That a little extra stress, maybe skipping a few of my heart medications, would help nature take its course. And what was your son's response? He said he would think about it. Gasps from the gallery. One juror covered her mouth with her hand. Mrs. Tucker, how did you feel when you heard this conversation? I paused, gathering my thoughts. I felt like my heart was breaking, like everything I believed about my son was a lie. I had given him everything. I had sacrificed everything for him, and he was sitting in his living room discussing how to kill me faster. Tears were streaming down my face now, but I did not try to hide them. I raised 3 children alone after my husband died. I worked 2 jobs. I went without food so they could eat. I wore worn-out clothes so they could have nice things. I gave them everything I had. I looked directly at Garrison. And my reward was betrayal. My reward was having my own son steal my life savings and laugh about it. My reward was hearing him consider murdering me for insurance money. Garrison finally looked at me. For a moment, I saw something in his eyes. Shame, regret, or just fear of the consequences he was facing. I would never know, because he quickly looked away again. No further questions, the prosecutor said. The defense attorney tried to tear apart my testimony during cross-examination. He suggested I was confused, hard of hearing, that I had misunderstood what I heard through the vent. Mrs. Tucker, is it not true that you have experienced memory issues in recent years? No, it is not true. You did not have a medical episode that affected your cognitive function. I had a minor heart episode. My brain is perfectly fine. But you were on medication. Medication that can cause confusion and disorientation. I have never been confused or disoriented. I know exactly what I heard. Perhaps you heard what you expected to hear. Perhaps your fear and paranoia led you to misinterpret an innocent conversation. I looked at the defense attorney with cold eyes. There was nothing innocent about that conversation. Your client and his wife were laughing about stealing everything I owned. They were discussing how to kill me. I heard every word, and I will remember every word until the day I die. The defense attorney tried a few more approaches, but I did not waver. I had lived through this nightmare. I knew the truth, and no amount of legal trickery was going to change that. The trial lasted 2 weeks. The jury deliberated for less than a day. Guilty on all counts. Garrison was convicted of elder financial abuse, fraud, theft, and conspiracy. Philomena was convicted of the same charges plus conspiracy to commit murder. Denise was convicted of fraud and conspiracy. When the verdicts were read, Philomena screamed. She had to be restrained by court officers. Garrison just sat there staring at the table, defeated, broken. I watched my son hear the word, guilty, repeated again and again. I watched his life fall apart, just as he had tried to make my life fall apart. And I felt nothing, not satisfaction, not vindication, just emptiness. This was my child, the baby I had nursed at my breast, the toddler who had taken his first steps holding my hand, the boy who had once looked at me like I was his whole world. Now he was a convicted criminal, a man who had tried to steal from and murder his own mother. Where had I gone wrong? What had I done to create this monster? I would ask myself those questions for the rest of my life, and I would never find a satisfying answer. Sentencing came a month later. Garrison received 25 years in federal prison. With good behavior, he might be eligible for parole in 15 years. He would be in his 70s by the time he got out. Philomena received 30 years for her role as the mastermind and for the conspiracy to commit murder charge. She would be an old woman when she was released, if she was released at all. Denise received 10 years. Younger and less central to the scheme, she had cooperated with prosecutors in exchange for a reduced sentence. Her testimony had helped seal the case against her cousin and cousin's husband. At the sentencing hearing, I was given the opportunity to make a victim impact statement. I stood before the court, looking at my son and his wife for what would probably be the last time. When I was a young woman, I began, I dreamed of having a family, a husband who loved me, children who would make me proud, grandchildren who would carry on our legacy. I paused, steadying myself. My husband died when I was 38 years old. I raised 3 children alone. I sacrificed everything for them. I worked until my body ached. I saved every penny. I built a life for my family through sheer determination and love. I looked at Garrison. I thought I had succeeded. I thought I had raised good children, honest children, children who would take care of their mother in her old age, just as I had taken care of them when they were young. My voice cracked. I was wrong about one of them. I took a breath and continued. My son Garrison and his wife Philomena did not just steal my money. They stole my faith in family. They stole my ability to trust. They stole years of my life that I can never get back. I turned to face the judge. Your Honor, I am not here to ask for mercy for my son. He showed me no mercy. He laughed while he stole from me. He considered murdering me for insurance money. He deserves whatever sentence this court sees fit to impose. I looked back at Garrison. But I want my son to know something. Despite everything he has done, despite all the pain he has caused me, I still love him. I will always love him. He is my child. Nothing can change that. Tears were streaming down my face. But love does not mean forgiveness. Love does not mean excusing what he did. Love means holding him accountable. Love means making sure he faces the consequences of his actions. I wiped my eyes. I hope that someday, in the years he spends in prison, my son will find redemption. I hope he will understand the magnitude of what he did. I hope he will become a better person. I took a final breath. But even if he does not, I will be okay, because I have 2 other children who love me. I have grandchildren who fill my life with joy. I have friends and community who have supported me through this nightmare. I straightened my shoulders. Garrison thought he could break me. He thought I was a weak old woman who would crumble and die. But I am still standing. I am still fighting. And I will continue to stand and fight until my last breath. I looked at my son one final time. Goodbye, Garrison. I hope you find peace someday. But I am done letting your choices destroy my life. I walked back to my seat. The courtroom was silent. And then, from somewhere in the gallery, someone started clapping. Then another person, and another. The judge called for order. But for a moment, just a moment, I felt the support of everyone in that room. I was not alone. I had never been alone. After the sentencing, life slowly returned to normal. I moved into a small apartment near Rosalind's house. It was cozy and comfortable, just big enough for me and my memories. I sold the rental properties. I did not need the income anymore, and managing them was too much stress. The money went into a secure account that no one but me could access. I visited my grandchildren every week. Rosalind's kids, Jasper and Felicity, were teenagers now. They were bright, funny, and full of life. They reminded me why I had fought so hard to survive. Monroe slowly recovered from his heartbreak over Denise. It took time. Learning that the woman you loved was using you is not something you get over quickly. But eventually, he started to heal. A year after the trial, he met someone new. A woman named Beatrice who worked at the hospital where Rosalind was employed. She was kind and genuine and nothing like Denise. I liked her immediately. "Mama, I think she might be the one," Monroe told me one Sunday afternoon. "I hope so, baby. You deserve happiness." "So do you, Mama. Are you happy?" I thought about the question. Was I happy? I had been through so much. Betrayal, fear, heartbreak. My own son had tried to destroy me. But I had also discovered strength I did not know I possessed. I had fought back. I had won. I had reclaimed my life. "Yes," I said finally. "I think I am happy, or at least I am at peace, and maybe that is enough." 2 years after the trial, I received a letter from Garrison. It was the first communication I had received from him since his conviction. I almost threw it away without reading it, but something made me open it. "Dear Mama, I know I have no right to write to you. I know I do not deserve your time or attention, but I needed to say something, even if you never respond. I am sorry. I am sorry for what I did to you. I am sorry for stealing your money. I am sorry for the things I said. I am sorry for considering Philomena's terrible plan. I have had a lot of time to think in here, a lot of time to reflect on the choices I made, and I finally understand how wrong I was. I told myself I was doing what was necessary, that you were old and did not need the money, that I deserved it more than you did, but those were lies. Lies I told myself to justify the unjustifiable. The truth is, I was greedy, selfish, weak. I let Philomena's ambition corrupt me. I let her convince me that money was more important than family, more important than the mother who sacrificed everything for me. I was wrong, so terribly, terribly wrong. I do not expect you to forgive me. I do not deserve forgiveness. But I want you to know that I am trying to change. I am attending counseling. I am reading books about ethics and morality. I am trying to become the person you raised me to be. Maybe it is too late. Maybe I can never make up for what I did, but I am going to try anyway. I love you, Mama. I always have. Even when I was doing terrible things, some part of me still loved you. I am sorry I was not strong enough to let that love guide me. Your son, Garrison. I read the letter 3 times. Each time I felt something different. Anger, sadness, and finally something that surprised me. Hope. Maybe Garrison really was changing. Maybe he was finally becoming the man I had raised him to be. Maybe there was still a chance for redemption. Or maybe it was just another manipulation. Another lie from a man who had lied his entire life. I did not know. I might never know. But I decided to write back. Dear Garrison, I received your letter. I will not pretend it did not affect me. It did. I am not ready to forgive you. I may never be ready. What you did to me was beyond cruel. It was evil. And the pain you caused me will stay with me for the rest of my life. But I am glad you are trying to change. I am glad you are seeking help. I am glad you are finally facing the truth about what you did. I do not know if our relationship can ever be repaired. I do not know if I can ever trust you again. But I am willing to leave the door open. Just a crack, just enough to see if you really have changed. If you continue on this path, if you continue to grow and learn and become a better person, maybe someday we can have a conversation. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, but a conversation. That is all I can offer right now. I hope it is enough. Your mother. Oribel. I sent the letter and did not expect a response. But a month later, another letter arrived, and then another, and another. Garrison wrote to me every month for the next 3 years. He told me about his life in prison, about the classes he was taking, about the therapy sessions, about the other inmates he was trying to help. I did not respond to every letter, but I read them all. And slowly, very slowly, I began to see glimpses of the son I had lost. The kind, caring boy who had been buried under years of greed and manipulation. Maybe redemption was possible after all. 5 years after the trial, I turned 75 years old. Rosalind threw me a big party. All my children were there, all my grandchildren, friends from church, neighbors who had supported me through the darkest time of my life. It was a beautiful day, full of love and laughter and gratitude. At one point, Monroe pulled me aside. Mama, I have something for you. He handed me a small box. Inside was a locket, an old, tarnished silver locket that I recognized immediately. Mama, is that? My mother's locket, I whispered. I thought I lost this years ago. You did not lose it. Garrison took it. He was going to sell it, but Denise saved it. When she was arrested, the police found it among her belongings. They just returned it to me. I opened the locket. Inside was a tiny photograph, my parents on their wedding day, young and hopeful and full of dreams. Tears streamed down my face. Thank you, Monroe, thank you. He hugged me tight. Happy birthday, Mama. I love you. I love you too, baby. That night, after the party was over and the guests had gone home, I sat alone in my apartment. I held my mother's locket in my hand and thought about everything that had happened. 5 years ago, I had been a victim, a foolish old woman who trusted her son and lost everything. But I had fought back. I had stood up for myself. I had refused to be broken. And now here I was, surrounded by family who loved me, secure in my own home, at peace with my life. My son and his wife had tried to take everything from me. They had laughed while they plotted my destruction. But they did not know I heard everything. And that knowledge had saved me. It had given me the power to fight back, to reclaim my life, to prove that I was stronger than anyone ever imagined. If you are watching this story, I want you to know something. You are stronger than you think, braver than you believe, more resilient than you can imagine. Life will knock you down. People will betray you. Family members may turn against you. But you do not have to stay down. You do not have to be a victim. You can fight back. You can stand up. You can reclaim your life. When my son and his wife tried to take everything from me while laughing, they thought they had won. They thought I was just a weak old woman who would never figure out the truth. They were wrong. Because I heard everything, and that changed everything. Thank you for watching until the end. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for listening to my story. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to this channel. Press that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Press the like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And drop a comment telling me where you are watching from. I want to know who is here with me. I want to see how big our family can grow. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Trust your instincts. Stand up for yourselves. And never, ever let anyone make you feel like you are not worthy of love and respect. Because you are, you always have been, and you always will be.